Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video will contain spoilers for the Frank Miller, Brian Azzarello comic, Batman, The Dark Knight, Master Race. This video may also contain discussions and/or images of violence, sexual situations, and drug use. Viewing beyond this point is a choice you have made, and you take responsibility for that choice. Thank you, and please have a nice day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone is having fun. I hope the universe is treating you well. Just for transparency, this is the third time that I've started filming this particular video. Dark Knight 3 Master Race. Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello, writers, artist Frank Miller, Andy Kubert, and Klaus Janson. The reason why this is the third time I'm filming this is because the first two times I came to realize this is going to be a multi-part monster. Just because it is dense. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that fills in and gives you background on why the story is the way it is, why certain viewpoints are taken, certain things are brought in and dealt with. One of the things is DC Comics realized after The Dark Knight Strikes Again that Frank Miller's name had staying power. Even though that story compared to other Frank Miller works was a dumpster fire. Frank Miller, that compared to his contemporaries art that was coming out at the, stories, art and stuff that was coming out at the time was middle of the road. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was just kind of there. It existed. It was technically a comic book. But it sold like gangbusters because it had the name Frank Miller on it. And DC, being a for-profit company, wanted some of that Frank Miller money. So what they did is they got Brian Azzarello and went, look, what we're going to do is you're going to write the story. You're going to send it to Frank. Frank is going to Frank it up. Then he's going to send it back, and we're going to iron out the rough patches, and we're going to keep enough of Frank's stuff in there to put his name on to sell the shit out of the book. And Brian went, hey, I'm cool with that. What's Frank going to think? So they got a hold of Miller, and Miller's like, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm working through some shit in my personal life because of watching 9/11 happen live and in living color out my studio apartment window. So yeah, we can do this. Which was good. There's some things you can tell that are very, very, where they did very small modifications to Miller's writing, And there's other places you go, oh no, they changed the shit out of that. And there's other places like they didn't use anything from Miller in this part. But it is a good, cohesive story. Is it as good as Dark Knight Returns? No. And a lot of that is because this book is set in 1992. Yeah, it's 3 years after Dark Knight Strikes Again and 6 years after Dark Knight Returns. Dark Knight Returns was 86. 3 years from that, it's 89, which was The Dark Knight Strikes Again. And this is 3 years later. It's 1992. One of the things that plagues this book is it has internet technology. It has cell phone technology. That is 2015 when the book was released. It is grossly 2015. But the story is set in 1992. And I would say if you were, say, 15 years old in 1992, between 15 and, say, 30, that 15-year gap, that the technology and stuff that's in this story is just, it takes you out of the story. It breaks your suspended disbelief. Because it is grossly 2015. But it is very consistent with the technology from Strikes Again. So yeah, it's kind of jarring, and that's probably the main reason why this won't ever be good as The Dark Knight Returns, because The Dark Knight Returns is set in the year that was written, and it's the technology and everything for 1986 is 1986. So it's one of those, it's just, now younger people, I would say people that today are in their 30s or younger, who grew up with this technology, would probably go, oh, okay, and not bat an eye. And it's probably a better story for them than it is for us older people, especially as Gen Xers, who lived through the whole computer revolution of the 80s and 90s and 2000s, the whole birth and growth of the public internet. So yeah, all this, that's all background stuff. Like I said, this takes place a good 3 years after Strikes Again and 6 years after Return. Kelly Carey is now 19 years old. She is no longer jailbait. She is still horny for older men. And if you've read anything of Frank Miller's, like Sin City and other titles by Frank Miller, Frank Miller is, he has a lot of sex. His characters have a lot of sex. There's a lot of sex in a lot of his stuff. A lot of it, like his Batman stuff and other mainstream titles, is a lot of it is innuendo and entendre, double entendre, triple entendre. But some of his independent stuff, some of his stuff that he's done on his own, it's in your face. Yeah, he is definitely a very, very literarily sexual creature, which is not uncommon. If you go back and you look at authors like Frank Herbert, Robert Heinlein, Philip K. Dick, but especially the older they got, a lot of their later books, there's a lot of sex. There's a lot of people fucking in those books. Hunter S. Thompson. So authors, creative types, seems like the older they get, the hornier they get. But it is what it is. Okay, our story. Let's get into the story. Now, we've got all the background stuff that infected the story, that caused the story to be what it is. We start out in Gotham, which is a good place to start a Batman title. Police officers are being attacked by what appears to be somebody in a Batman costume. Batman is late 50s, early 60s at this point, so we know it's not Bruce Wayne proper because, well, this heroics is way the punishment the body's taking, the punishment it's doling out is not a man in his 60s. And it's long known that Batman doesn't have any super abilities. His superpower is his money. We find out that the cops under Yindel have actually de-evolved. You got more corruption than you had under Gordon. They're shaking people down. They're just beating the shit out of people because they're bored, stuff like that. And yes, it's Kelly Carey. If you haven't figured out by now, it's Kelly Carey. She's wearing the Batman costume. And she's kicking ass and taking names. We finally get to her. The cops finally pin her down and catch her. Though Commissioner Yindel, who took over from Gordon in Batman Returns, Dark Knight Returns, and was completely absent in the second book. She shows up, and she's kind of, rightly so, going, she thinks there's something up. She knows there's something up. Because she knows Kelly Carey was trained by Batman, and Batman, when she had to deal with Batman in Dark Knight Returns, he was a badass. So her getting captured sets off some alarms. Not enough alarms, but it sets off a few. So she decides she's going to interrogate Kelly herself. It should be noted that Bruce Wayne has went back and removed Kelly Carey's existence from all digital records, all hard copies. So she's an unknown. Her fingerprints have been wiped, her identity, her birth, all that has been wiped. So they have absolutely no idea who she is. The process of this is kind of crazy. This interrogation, because Yendel comes in, has her cup of coffee. She's pretty sure that Kelly Carey ain't gonna do anything stupid like attack her. She comes in, they have her on table that she sits across. She's sipping her coffee, asking questions. Her big question is, what happened to Bruce Wayne? And Kelly Carey is giving her the silent treatment. Just day in, day out. Finally, one day, Yendel comes in and she's like, look, please, just tell me what happened to Bruce Wayne. Where is he? What happened to him? And Kelly Carey's like, he's dead. He died. Lex Luthor beat him to a pulp. He's dead. I'm Batman now. Peace out. And Yendel's like, okay, we're going to transfer you to Blackgate. Just because I am pretty sure if you wanted out of here, you would be out. And I don't trust you, so we're sending you to a more secure facility. And Kelly Carey's like, okay, whatever. You do you. That's Kelly Carey's whole attitude is you do you, I'm going to do me. So they go to transfer her to this prison. And she gets broken out by a remote control Batmobile. And it confuses the cops because she doesn't actually get into the Batmobile. She gets underneath it and hides because she knows they're going to check inside for her, and they do, and they're confused. They think she just vanished. Then we cut narratively to Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is presumably somewhere on Themyscira. It's really kind of vague and out there somewhere. And she's fighting a Minotaur / Centaur cross thing. And she's doing pretty good. She's kicking ass, taking names. She's got Jonathan, the son that was conceived back in Strikes Again, when her and Superman had sex and destroyed an aircraft carrier. Evidently, Amazons come that hard. Or at least Frank Miller's Amazons come that hard. And I don't understand. This is where things kind of get kind of wonky in the writing, because he's still an infant. This is taking place 3 years later. He was conceived 3 years ago, but he's still an infant. A tiny infant at that. I don't know what Amazonian gestation period is for babies. So that's another thing that kind of messes with your suspension of disbelief. So she has this fight with this thing. She saves these Aboriginal native peoples, and she's lamenting about, it's good to be able to serve, it's good to help humanity, blah blah blah. Then she returns to the city of the Amazons, where they go, look, Diana, your daughter Laura, yeah, she's gone, she's peaced out. And she's like, really? We have a training session. She's like, nope, she's gone. She peaced out. And she's like, where'd she go? We're like, we don't know. And so Wonder Woman's trying to figure out where her daughter went. Her daughter, Laura, who played a fairly significant role in the third act of Strikes Again, has gotten in her head that her being Kryptonian, or at least half Kryptonian, that she is superior to the human race, and the human race should bow down before her. And she's going to go discuss this with her dad, who has encased himself in ice in his fortress of solitude. And we're going to go ahead and wrap the video up here. This part 1. We'll do part 2 soon. Hopefully I can wrap it up in 2 videos. It might be a 3-part monster. We don't know. I hope so. I hope we can get done in 2 videos. But it is what it is. So until next time, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?